Episode 27 of the American Craftsman Podcast.
Yeah.
We're over 6 months in now. I think this marks 6 months.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Time has flown. Absolutely flown.
And it's almost like spring today.
Yeah. We got the window open. We didn't eat outside today, but
we could have.
Yeah,
we could have. It would have been a little chilly, just in short sleeves. But.
Yeah. Hello to everybody out there on Clubhouse. We're live on Clubhouse as well. Something we've been doing for, I think it's been a month now, which I
was going to guess 3 weeks. I couldn't remember.
I think this is the fourth one because we did, was with John the first one? That was 24,
I think 25. It was.
24, 25, 26, 27. Yeah, it's the fourth week.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So, hi to everybody down there. We'll open up the room to discussion here shortly. We still don't have a real concrete format as how we're doing this, but
no, surprise.
Yeah. So, beer of the week this week, we have some. Put the glass out here so you guys can see. See us pour. If you don't know, we have our own beer glasses now over on the website.
Yep.
Greene Street Joinery.com. You can get your own American Craftsman Podcast glass and drink along with us. I see Andy down there. Andy's probably at work, so he's not having a beer, but maybe later. So we have some leftover beer from last week with Tim.
Yeah.
Was that last week? Yeah.
It was.
So we're going to try 2 different beers today.
Mm-hmm.
They're both from Jersey Girl Brewing, born and brewed in New Jersey, established 2014. They're up in Hackettstown, so about an hour north of us. This is Mo Pilsner.
Yeah, I was going to guess that's a Pilsner.
Yeah. A nod to our hometown of Mount Olive, Mo Pils is a golden, light-bodied, and slightly sweet lager that finishes with a spicy hop aroma and flavor. Enjoy fresh, drink now, jerseygirlbrewing.com.
I like the artwork behind the logo there.
Yeah. Little hop flowers, barley.
Yeah. Almost tattooish, without the...
Yeah, I have a big hop flower and some barley on my leg.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the sound pouring into the glass. Like a Duff beer commercial on The Simpsons.
Duff man. Ooh yeah.
It's literally not making a sound. I'm gonna tip that glass so you don't get all foam.
There you go. There's some sound. Oh yeah. Nice and chilly.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers indeed.
Here's to all you out there.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, I think as it warms up outside, these get better and better.
Yeah, like a Pilsner is always an overlooked style for me. Like, it gets a bad rap because most of these, like, American macro brew kind of beers are based off of Pilsners. But yeah, this is good. We had the Grolsch.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good Pilsner.
We won't talk too much about it, but it's like a good version of a standard
nice
beer.
Yeah. There's so much crap. I got to find a spot to put my beer. Well, let's not waste any time. What do you got for tool of the week this week?
Tool of the week. It's not like we get new tools every week, although
not every week.
And I don't know, the shot's pretty tight, but can you see the little stack of wood behind us?
Yeah.
So this week we started cutting up and milling some walnut for a job that's coming. It's going to start, getting to the fabrication stages in the next day or two.
Mm-hmm.
And the yellow pencil really comes in handy. So today's tool for the week is the humble yellow leaded pencil, and I also have the lumber crayon here. Yep. This is part of the Pika set that Rich sent us, and he came with all sorts of colored leads, And the yellow lead just stands out on the walnut. It really, really helps.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, you may be able to see some of the labeling here on the ends of the walnut. The walnut's not really in focus, but...
Yeah, because what we do, how Jeff and I typically start a job is we have the drawings and then we lay out all the boards across the table saws, and they're rough, so we're kind of using an educated guess on what they're going to look like.
Yeah.
But we get their sizes, and I'll go through with the lumber crayon and mark off and put a little designation on them. Usually we go through the alphabet, A through Z. Jeff's over at the chop saw, chopping them up, and with a yellow pencil, marking on the ends. So through each stage, we're transferring that designation. So when it comes time to put these things together, we know where they go.
I'm actually seeing two there that don't have a mark.
Yeah, they're
they
probably
must
on
be.
the other end.
Yeah, yep.
That's why.
Those are the ones that got ripped.
Yeah. So the mark will be on the other end of it. But for anybody who hasn't tried different colored leads when you're marking out lumber, I would say, give it a shot. It really makes life easier. You can't see a pencil mark on walnut to save your life.
No, especially not on the end.
No.
You could write real big on the face, but when it's rough sawn, that's not going to do you any good anyway.
So that's it. It's the humble pencil in yellow today.
Yeah, that yellow lead worked nice on the
Yeah.
on the ends there.
And the Pica's pretty good for writing on lumber because, it's like a thick 2 millimeter lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the crayon, which works good on the super rough stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Pica for like everyday use, but with the yellow lead for this, like it worked really well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it came with some pretty soft lead, and I've been using it, but I've been, rounding over the tip so quickly. I might try it with a little bit of a harder lead.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's got a handy sharpener in the point, but here you go.
Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
I put a link down in the description to, I guess, the Pica yellow lead.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of guys out there. I know Matt's down there in Clubhouse. He's got a Pica.
And whatever you're running as far as pencil, I'm sure you can find some yellow lead for it.
Yeah. I have like 0.9 millimeter white lead.
Yeah.
But it's extremely soft. So it's it's not really good for this stage. It's good for more in the finished stage, which by that point, I'm not doing a lot of marking anyway.
Yeah.
It's mostly
You pretty much can
set
tell
up with
what's
stop
what.
blocks and stuff.
But the marking's critical for us. I mean, because there's,
there's
100 parts. It's
other 2/3 of it's over there.
So we got to keep track of them all, so they all go back to the right spot. Because we're matching grain and color and all these other things, and so it's important.
Matt's got his hand up. Let's bring him up. Maybe he's got a comment about the Pica and the yellow lead. Welcome.
Hey guys, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Giant Pica fan here. Hey Rob, so I know exactly what you're talking about because I actually got that kit almost the same time you guys did. I burned through that entire lead that it came with, and I switched. Listen, you have in your possession the hard black lead. So go into that little black box that it came in that red labeled lead.
Yeah.
It'll be so hard. You'll sharpen it, Rob,
Yeah.
on Monday, and you'll have a tip on Wednesday. And I'm completely serious about that. You'll really appreciate a lot more with that lead switch. So
Yeah.
And I personally rock out with that one in one of the pencils, and then I toss the red in the other one for so when I'm taking my notes, it's not all just gray on the page. I can actually
There you go.
cross something out or whatever and circle. And the 2-color system is amazing. I can't advocate for it enough.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't
we
even
have
think
an
of the red.
advocate.
Yeah. That
Thank
red
you.
could be good for definitely like when we write on clipboards and stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to have things stand out, very specific things.
I like the red when we make edits on the drawings.
Yeah. Yep. Which inevitably happen.
For sure. Yeah, it's just my 2 cents. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the pencils because they are a treat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you.
Thanks for the I hit Matt up earlier. We set up the shaper. We didn't set it up. We went to use the shaper for the first time today just to try it out. because we're getting ready to buy the tooling for the Dutch door that we're going to be building.
Mm-hmm.
Once this walnut job is done, we'll be jumping into that barn door. So we need to figure out where we're going to get the cutters from. So we're between Freeborn and Royce. Still trying to decide. We been talking directly with Royce about maybe trying to work out a little bit of a discount, to try it out.
It's an investment.
To show. I mean, they were talking $1,800, which is like half the price of the shaper. So we're still trying to decide. So we just we put in a bit there today just to, because we're gonna spend $1,800. We haven't even tried this thing yet. So Matt is our resident shaper expert.
Guru.
So we and Craig's down there. Craig's our steam bending guru. Matt's our shaper guru.
They are Yodas.
Yeah, so I sent him a couple videos, asked about, running the bit in reverse. So, I mean, for a first go, I've never run a spindle shaper before. I've run router tables and stuff, but I mean, a nice cut, beautiful, glassy, single pass, full 1/2 inch by, I mean, what would you say, 1.5 inches?
Yeah, easy.
So we used a panel raising bit because that's all we really have right now. We have a one shaker cope and stick set, which is a 3/4 spindle, but we have just this panel raising bit for the 1.25 inch spindle. Worked out great.
Yeah, it started up sounding like a jet plane.
Yeah, I wasn't nervous until I turned the machine on, and then it's loud. I mean, that thing displaces a lot of air.
Yeah,
that's a 6 inch diameter by 3/4 inch thick chunk of steel flying around. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using the shaper.
Yeah,
and hopefully getting a power feeder.
The gripe of the week. I'm not sure if I should be talking about the gripe of the week. We should keep it under wraps and move on.
Is it that over there? Yeah. Yeah, probably in our best interest to not discuss.
We do have a gripe.
Yeah.
We got a big gripe, but in the interest of I don't know what we call it.
Just remaining civil.
Yes, we will move on to and revisit maybe the ungripe of the week, which is this beautiful weather we're having today.
Yeah.
It's hard to gripe every week.
I saw a meme. It's like, what did it say? It was like, seasonal depressive, seasonal, what's
affective
it? Yeah,
disorder?
Seasonal affective disorder is fake until it's like 60 degrees in March, and I feel like I popped a Molly.
That's right. Like, guaranteed my wife's going to be in the best mood today after work. She's going, oh, boy, I feel alive. And,
Jack made it in. What's up, Jack?
Jack Thornton?
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, my God.
It's like 4:05 a.m. in Australia right now.
Good morning, Jack.
Jack's up to work out.
Good for him.
Yeah. Thanks, Jack.
That's awesome.
Of course, somebody's calling me from Keyport. God knows who it is.
Yeah, so we're having like the second day in a row of like real spring-like weather, which is it's nice. I mean, if you live in the Northeast, when you get a few early spring days,
you can't beat it.
You soak it in.
Yeah, I went outside yesterday for lunch. Rob was actually he was getting his first COVID vaccine shot.
That's right. I'm one shot in on the Pfizer, and I'm feeling alive.
Yeah, I'm due for my second 2 weeks from tomorrow. But yeah, so I went outside and I ate my lunch and I just sat there and got a little sunlight on the eyelids, get some vitamin D, and it was nice. Felt good.
Yeah, so
I definitely had more energy at the end of the day.
This is going to come at a good time. The weather's going to break, and we'll both be in it. In another month now or so, we'll be able to open the gates up for all our guests to come back.
Yeah,
and,
and hopefully we can do a little bit of a meetup.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for like a year now.
Yeah, everybody's probably chomping at the bit.
Yeah, getting together with everybody from the podcast and Instagram and now Clubhouse, anybody that'd be close enough or willing to, travel to.
Yeah. We were talking about maybe using somewhere around Willie's location, weren't we? Was that close when we were talking to somebody from up north?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. There was somebody that was maybe more centrally located to the northerners and the southerners. But anyway, that's cool.
Oh man, that phone call I was getting was about my warranty that's going to expire.
Not your auto warranty.
Oh jeez, might have to stop the podcast.
They'll call back.
I can talk to a live specialist now, or be placed on our do not call list. Yeah,
I've
please.
tried that.
Yeah, that's just a way to get you on the phone. I think.
Yeah.
Well, got a decent amount of questions this week. We better get into them.
Yeah.
You want to take this first one?
Sure. This is from Ira Jan.
Ira Jan.
I don't even remember what Ira Jan's real name is. Or is it? Is
El
that it?
Rajan.
Yeah. But I destroyed his name so much that he's given in to Ira Jan. He's asking what adaptations. Man, it's only half a beer for woodworkers with disabilities have you encountered? So personally, I've not encountered any adaptations. I've seen amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Blind woodworkers, folks, in chairs and things like that with limited mobility. It's amazing what the human spirit and will can overcome.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all seen like the videos of like a grifter with no arms playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's insane, and playing well.
Yeah, right.
Just with their feet.
Yeah.
I haven't either seen anything specific. Man, the spam is like, it just comes flowing in as soon as the podcast starts. Let me mute my computer. I haven't seen anything in person. And Ira Jan was telling me, like I have back problems. So that's why he was curious. Things like, changing the work surface height.
Right.
If you're in a wheelchair, obviously you can't work at a bench that's 33 inches tall.
Right. Or you might need, different leg setup so you could roll up under it.
Yeah.
Similar to like the ADA stuff that we encounter when we're doing bathrooms, especially.
Yep. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy fixtures and stuff that people use.
What about that sauce lock set?
The Ultra Latch, yeah. So we did that little thing with Sauce and John Peters, and they sent us a couple of their Ultra Latch, which is it's a really cool doorknob in that you can either push it or pull it and it opens. So it's like it's almost like a Hearst style shifter is like the shape.
Right.
That's
it's
what
got
they
a nice big.
That's like what they designed it after. So it's like super ADA compliant. Anybody could open that door, even if you have no hand.
Right, you can bump it with a hip, a knee.
And actually now the weather's nice enough where you could probably put it on.
Yeah.
We'll have to get a deadbolt.
That's it.
Here's Tony from Oliver calling me.
Ira, we haven't encountered anything woodworking wise, but as far as like work services and things like that, we've done a bunch of stuff in homes and especially in commercial applications where ADA compliance, it's sort of a bleed over. Yeah,
I've had to go in and alter things that other companies have built that weren't ADA compliant and bring them into compliance.
Yeah. I remember in the restaurant business in New York in the 80s, because frequently you'd put small restaurants and pubs in these spaces that didn't either have a restaurant in it beforehand, and then you had to bring all these little tiny bathrooms up to code, which it's not just the 36-inch doorway, but wheelchair has to be able to spin around on the inside.
Yeah, the heights of all the different things.
Yeah, so that was a big deal in the 80s as this boom was happening. And I think those laws were just going into effect, too, and being, sort of adhered to pretty strictly.
Yeah, if you guys have anything specific, maybe head over to the YouTube channel and leave a comment.
Yeah, it might be like Braille measuring devices.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
a ruler or I don't know, braille tape. I haven't ever seen one, but that would be interesting.
Yeah. I actually saw a thing, like in Japan, cans have braille on the top so that blind people don't mistake like alcohol for non-alcoholic beverages.
When I was an RA, I had, in the summer session, I had a blind student. And you always had to know if you had somebody on the floor because, they'd have the fire drills and, God forbid something happened, you got to go down and make sure that everything was cool. And it was, I was blown away all the time at how much this kid could accomplish. Yeah. It makes you feel a little bit humbled and guilty for ever complaining.
Yeah, because, we take it for granted.
That's right. For sure. All right, let's move on. Let's go down south.
Yeah. Mississippi folk want nothing but cheap farmhouse furniture. How do I get away from it? That's from Luke Brown's Custom Craft on Instagram. That's easy, Luke. Just move.
We feel your pain, Luke, but, in a sideways kind of way, because up here for the longest time, it was white painted shaker.
It still is.
Yeah, and before that, there was the distressed oak with that kind of white washy
that's still
glaze. People see these things on Instagram and Pinterest or these home reno shows, and they want it because it's easier than thinking outside the box.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the day and age of images and keeping up with the Jones. Well, it's always been keeping up with the Joneses, but
that's right.
Now it's very easy to see an exact thing that you want to copy. So yeah, that Saroost oak and white shaker with gray walls, that's headed your way, Luke. So just
that'll be the upscale look for the that'll be as the Mississippians move up away from the.
That's what happens in the Northeast and in the West Coast. Like things happen and then they spread. As farmhouse furniture was declining here, it was getting popular in Mississippi, and as the white shaker and Saroost white oak becomes less popular, it's going to move its way out from here. And I don't know what is going to be the next thing here, but
farmhouse chic. So, maybe it might be cool to start pushing the stuff that's, kind of fading and losing steam here down there. Get ahead of the curve down there on the Saroost oak, the white painted shaker.
With the internet now, I'm sure it's not as slow of a transition as it used to be. Because I see that stuff everywhere now, I guess, but
we run into the same problem. People want a different
style
thing, and we just keep hammering away at what we think is good design and what we think is quality and timeless and all these other things. Sometimes we have to make compromises and blend styles and things like that. Which isn't, it is what it is. Yeah. But just keep at it, keep pushing in the direction that you'd like to go, and eventually you'll get a few takers. Yeah,
and I when I was writing this up this morning, what I thought is, leverage the internet and I know guys like Wild Willie really started out selling on Etsy. So if you can get some furniture up there, like stuff that you like to build, that's not farmhouse furniture, you might get some traction there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe even include some photos from the net that are sort of emblematic of what you want to build, and say, look, this stuff is really happening in these other areas.
Yep.
I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods. So, but stick to your guns, man. What's next? All right. Parallelogram. How come I'm getting all the hard words? Parallelogram jointer versus traditional jointer, and spiral head versus helical head. That's from Windswell Woodworks on Instagram. What do you think, Jeffrey?
Well,
the first one's easy.
Yeah. So basically he's asking the advantages of or disadvantages. The advantage of a parallelogram joiner is it's much easier to adjust.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The old dovetailed or wedge, I guess, joiners they call them. You have to shim them.
Yeah.
Which is not easy. You're dealing with heavy cast iron parts that are, mated together very precisely. But those are bulletproof.
Yeah. Set it and forget it. That's what we have.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm saying the traditional.
Yeah.
Parallelogram joiners, if it's a cheaper one, may not be as reliable in the long term. Just because it's not as robust of a setup. It's easy to adjust, but it's not quite as solid. In terms of spiral versus helical, I don't have any experience with helical, just spiral, so I can't speak to the advantages or disadvantages of that.
Yeah. Now, what's the helix? What is that? Is that some kind of?
That's a spiral.
Yeah, I think that anytime you're going to that little 4 square cutter, it's such an improvement from the straight knife that I don't think you can go wrong there.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that all helix are spiral. I don't know. They may make helical. Ours is a spiral. So yeah, I guess the difference is a helical. It's one continuous line that goes all the way around. Our spiral is on the joiner. I think it's like four rows that span 45 degrees of the circle. So they start at one point and they spiral around 45 degrees before another row starts. Yeah, if anybody out there has experience with a helical and a spiral, I'd love to know.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
if there's an advantage. I've not even seen one up close. The helical.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've seen like helical straight. I don't know how you would
like those flush cutters.
Yeah, like they make like planer cutters that are like that, where it's a single edge, but it's helical.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like for like a power planer, like the old Porter cable. What the hell's it called? If you hang a lot of doors, you know what I'm talking about. It's a big long power planer with a fence on it that you can put your bevels on doors, and it has like a helical head on it.
Anybody out there in the clubhouse have anything to say on this? I mean, that's a pretty big community. Somebody might know.
Yeah. If you do, raise your hand. We'll move on to the next question.
All right.
This one comes in from YouTube. Hal Den on YouTube. What's something that you usually run out of when you need it the most in the shop? I mean, glue, sanding discs, etc. Also, has a tool ever died on you when you needed it most?
Well, we're usually pretty well stocked up in all of the accessories like screws, glue, sandpaper. I can't remember running out of anything like that, but
no.
We were just I needed to make 15 cuts to resaw some oak, and I used to have a whole series of bandsaw blades hanging up, and I neglected to look to see if I had extra blades for resawing, and about 3/4 of the way through the very first cut, the blade snapped.
Yep, and I went on Amazon actually because we needed something quick. There's nowhere local that we can get a bandsaw blade.
No.
And we got screwed on the delivery, so we kind of were...
Yeah, we were down about almost 4 days.
4 days, yeah. One thing I do remember is when... so we have the saw stop right here next to me, and then catty corner to that is the unisaw. We used to have that unisaw where this is, and a 5 horsepower unisaw there with the dado blade on it.
Well, that's right.
I was in the middle of making... I forget... Was it the cherry
kitchen?
barn door?
I don't know.
I was running. Yeah, it was it was one of the barn doors.
Yeah,
I'm running dados in barn door parts, and the phase converter.
Right, that
started to die. It would shut the saw off. I'd have to wait like a minute, and then I could get it back running, and then it would shut off again.
That had a 3-phase motor on it, and we had like one of those, not like one of those really big phase converters, but one of the small little boxes.
Yeah. Yeah, not like a big rotary phase converter. I don't know what they call those.
I don't know either. Came with the saw. Mm-hmm. We bought it used. Yeah, I remember that. That thing, that was down for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we bought the saw stop.
Yeah. So it seems our cutting devices have been
no comment.
letting us down. Oh yeah. Did we talk about that on the Patreon?
I think so.
We got a lot of venting to do.
We got secrets to spill over on Patreon. Here's one from Chris. What do you look for when picking out lumber? Tight grain or anything like that? That's C. Dubrisky on Instagram.
That's a good question. Well, when we get the lumber in, we order FAS, and if it's walnut, we have to order black walnut because I don't know when this began, but walnut's got its own separate little grading categories. Yeah. So you have to really get black walnut, which has a premium price attached to it.
Yeah, that's just the name that O'Shea is using.
Right. I don't think it's technically different.
It's all black walnut is just what our supplier calls their extra premium walnut.
To get walnut that looks like walnut instead of
instead of like butternut. Yeah.
So we order the highest grade that they have, and it comes in rough. We bring it in, and as we were speaking of at the top of the podcast, we go through the rough lumber, and we kind of have an idea what it's going to look like even while it's rough.
Yeah.
So we have to use the size, and we look for defects like knots, and we chalk it out, so to speak. And if it's something that we're going to be doing where lots of parts are going to be next to each other and we want them to mate up, well, that's where the labeling comes in. You know, we'll try and get those out of the same boards or fold back. Oh, there's all kinds of ways to match within a board. You have something to add there?
Yeah, like you said, like we're not necessarily going and picking out lumber like from a lumber yard. We're just getting it delivered. But when we're selecting lumber for parts, when we're parting it out, whatever you would say, when we're selecting what boards are going to become what parts, we're looking for certain things. For door parts, we're looking for straight grain. If it's something that has a curve in it, you want some grain that has some curve in it, so that it's following the shapes that you're putting into it.
Right. Door panels, that's a chance to use some more of the distinctive pieces. Yeah, you're not going to take a board that, you can tell when a board has some curl in it. You're not going to take a curly board and cut it into door parts. No.
Because you're going to be interrupting all this grain.
Yeah, all that figure runs off the outer edges of it. It doesn't really look that good.
Yep. That's what we look for. Very part-specific grain selection.
Yeah, that's a good question because I think it's oftentimes overlooked when you're starting out. Like that's something you come to recognize as you've made a few pieces, and you say, oh, wouldn't this look better if, the grain was running in the direction of the part? And
for example, like we have the that cherry piece is still here. Luke is working on
taking up residence.
Yeah, he's working on the hinges for us. It has these Gothic arched panels, and we tried to get cathedral in the center of those panels so that it followed the Gothic arch of the panels. So.
Right, so you might want to trim off both edges of a board, maybe a little bit more off one side than the other, so that the wood's natural design is where you want it.
Yep.
Yeah, good question. C. Dubrisky on Instagram.
Oh, this is Andy's question. Andy's there listening live.
Andy C. Makes on Instagram. Is this going to be juicy?
No.
Okay. Because I see a coworker. I didn't know if this had any. All right.
Your secretary.
A coworker and I were having a debate about wearing gloves when operating machines. The argument's about the fear of the glove sucking your digits into the machine. That sounds grisly. I get that point, and I'm not sure if the saw stop works if you have gloves on. I don't want to find out. I like wearing those tighter neoprene gloves because I find pushing or gripping the materials better. What do you think? Jeff, you're a glove wearer.
Yeah, I like to wear those same sort of gloves, like a knit glove with a neoprene or nitrile, whatever, palm. Right. I stopped wearing them on the joiner because I feel like that's probably the highest risk operation for wearing a glove. A table saw, I don't think there's any risk. Things don't really get sucked into table saws. If you've ever seen Matthias Wandel on YouTube, like he rigged up a thing trying to get a shirt sleeve to get sucked into the saw, and he couldn't do it. Not saying that proves it's not possible, but I had my doubts about the table saw. The planer and the band saw, pretty low risk. If you stick your hand into the planer, you're screwed no matter what.
That's right.
The glove
you got to put your hand way into the planer.
Yeah, the glove
you
is
have
the least
other problems if you're doing that.
Yeah. And the bandsaw, no risk with the glove. I will say with the saw stop, some gloves do, like if on the saw stop, if you touch the blade, there's a status light down here. If you're watching, you can see where I'm pointing. You can see a green light. Let me move this mic a little bit. You can see the green light. Now watch when I touch the blade. There's a red light blinking. That says that it's detected a completed circuit, or something to that effect. It's detecting a conductive substance touching the blade. So if you were wearing gloves, what I meant to say, some gloves, if you touch it, it'll go off. But like we tried it with the rubber gloves the other day, and it didn't. But the thing is, so you're wearing rubber gloves, and you put your hand into the blade, it's going to cut through the glove, and the second it touches your skin, it's going to go off.
It's the same exact protection.
Right. It just detects a conductive surface, so when it goes through whatever that non-conductive surface is, it's going to then, as soon as it touches your skin, realize the brake is going to engage.
Yeah, so there's no additional risk. If you feel safer because of your grip, I would say that's the route to go.
Yeah, I like wearing gloves. I feel like I get better grip, and it just saves you from those little dings and dents and splinters. And
if you see my hands, you'll know I'm a non-glove wearer.
Yeah, Rob spends a lot of tweezer time.
Then Band-Aids. There's always blood around the shop.
Yeah, I smashed my elbow on a corner of a walnut board yesterday morning.
It's those little cuts that are all over. You know what I've taken to, and I might bring it out as tool of the week one day, is my little liquid bandage.
Oh yeah, the brain.
No.
Jack's not in here anymore. This is his question.
Go back to sleep.
He probably we were boring him to death. He went back to sleep.
Do you guys have a vacuum press? Jack wants to know.
We do not. I would love to have one, but we haven't had a commission yet that really called for it. So until that day comes,
that's typically how we operate on big things that maybe won't get used every day.
Yeah, like the Dutch door, for example. We sell like a $7,500 door, and then we buy a $4,000 shaper and a $2,000 worth of tooling, and $1,000 worth of oak.
That's why your son's gonna have to forge a path for himself.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We're not saving anything for poor Hunter.
No, sorry,
bud. Not yet. But we're working on it.
It's a good one from Matt. He's out in England. Matt says, how far from home do you guys generally work? My furthest so far has been a 700-mile round trip to fit a set of wardrobes we made for a local client with a holiday apartment in St. Ives in the UK. Set off at 4 a.m. and got home around 11 p.m. I try to stay within an hour's travel if it's more than a day of fitting, but Facebook and Instagram are bringing in inquiries from much further afield. Matt Richardson Architectural Woodwork on Instagram.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
we'll go as far as anybody's willing to, pay us, I'll say. It sounds a little bit crude to put it that way, but typically for us, because we want to be paid for our time, it's going to price us out of the job. Because if somebody wants us to spend 2 days traveling, we're going to have to put that into the job, and then we're going to have to sleep somewhere, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So it's going to add a burden of cost that a local guy's just not going to have. Yeah,
like we bid those doors up in Nantucket, and it was like the doors were like $10K and the install was like $4,000 because we got to drive 8 hours and then get on a ferry and then do the install. Mm-hmm. And that, that's going to take, so that's a whole day. It's just getting there. Then we have to do the install. Well, then it's too late to go home. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not going to.
We're too old for that.
I'm going to pull an all-nighter for you for free? No. Okay, we're going to stay over, and then we got to drive home the next day. So it's 3 days, plus, travel expenses, gas, all that stuff. I'd say most of our work is within a half hour of here. Yeah. And then, then we go maybe an hour and a half. But, like you said, we'll go as far as you want. You want us to come to California, then we'll come. But
I've worked in Princeton and in Jersey City and Hoboken, and those Princeton's a little bit closer time-wise, but to get up into Hoboken and Jersey City, you're talking about an hour and a half drive, and then there's the difficulty in parking. There's no place to park trucks and things like that. So it's a huge liability. Like the jobs I did up in those areas, You'll have to schedule when you can get into the loading dock, schedule elevator time, then you unload your truck. Then there's no place to put your truck. You got to go find a place, and a lot of the lots won't take a big truck. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big headache.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why, when Tim was here last week and he was talking about the first time he worked in Brooklyn, and the builder came to him and said, I got this thing for you in Brooklyn. And he's like, no, I'm not going.
Yeah.
It's it's just a big headache.
Right. So
I'd like to pull up to the house, pull into the driveway, and then walk in the door.
Yeah, and we, as you see, we're not looking to get rich. So
I mean, it'd be nice, but not gonna happen.
But we put a few things ahead of that.
Yeah.
So we want to start at a reasonable time. We don't want to disrupt our lives in a crazy way just for a job.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then is fine as long as it's being worked into the job.
Yes.
I'm certainly not going to leave the shop at 5 a.m. and only start paying myself at 8. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way.
We can't afford to do that because we could take a job where we'll get paid.
Right.
For all our time. That's really the bottom line. If we had no work at all and somebody offered us this job,
we would do it.
We'd do it, but it doesn't make any sense to give somebody a discount for us to travel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of guys out there working, 80-hour weeks. We know one of them. And it's not helping everyone else because you're still basing it on a week, but you're working 80 hours, so everybody else's prices get
your personal life suffers, your relationship suffers.
Yeah. I mean, 40 hours is plenty.
Yeah. So that's it. That's another interesting topic of discussion. I mean, how people schedule their jobs and their lives and where they find that balance.
Yeah.
All right, you want to move on to Jerry?
Yeah, how you doing on the beer? You want to try the next one?
Yeah, let's start pouring that second beer out.
Jerry's question, I'll grab it.
Jerry's one of our patrons. Thank you, Jerry. He's GA Woodshop on Instagram. When you rough cut the stock before milling, how much extra are you adding to account for snipe? Well, Jerry, we try not to produce snipe, and part of that is getting the machines tuned up, and we can. It's amazing how
you'll hear about it, Jerry. You will hear about it.
Topical these questions can be. So we're really looking like if I'm marking out the lumber and there's a 27.5-inch part, I'm gonna at most give Jeff a 30-inch cut. So really not much at all. You know, I'm marking the lumber where I feel like we're gonna miss knots and any kind of defect, and I'm picking out where I want the grain to, you know, begin and end. So I'm really figuring on not a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me it depends. Depends on what the size of the board is and what the size of the parts are.
That's another thing. Yeah.
If there's going to be 6 inches of waste
Right.
and it's 2 parts, I'm going to add 3 inches to both of those parts. And it also depends on like what the part is going to be. If it's going to be a countertop, I'm going to be more inclined to leave some extra for Snipe because, you know, you don't want to have Snipe running across this whole thing and it's just going to get sanded. Like if it's a door, it's not a big deal because the door is going to get assembled and then sanded. Like the whole thing is going to get sanded. Yeah. The joints are going to get sanded flush if they're not perfect, which they never are. So yeah, it depends a lot on the size of the board and the part.
That's true. That's a critical thing. Like I'll usually come in about 2 inches off the end if the end looks quote unquote perfect, like with no checks. And then I'll start measuring and marking out. And if there's, like you say, 6 inches left, well, then you can kind of stretch everything out a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm a little more generous than you are. You know, no fault of Rob's pouring the next.
Yeah, we got a Jersey girl sun-kissed Citra India Pale Ale.
Smells nice. What's our next question here? It's from another patron, Miles Thompson, out in Australia as well with Jack. I'm not sure what area Miles is in. I think Jack's near Perth. I don't know if they're close to one another, but
Perth, the furthest city away from us.
Yeah. I struggle a bit with proportions for furniture. I have some books that I use for reference that help a lot. But do you like a more calculated approach like the golden ratio, or is it by eye if it looks right? Sorry. Or is by eye if it looks right good enough? Any tips? From Miles, Eat Drink Wine Guy on Instagram.
That's a good question. The golden ratio is really almost a fail-safe, and it doesn't have to be exact. But it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
That's always my first place to start. And after all these years, you kind of know, like, 49, all right, let's bring this in at 26 and see what. And if it looks right, it is right.
Yep.
And the Greeks proved that with the Parthenon. Right?
If it looks straight, it is straight.
Experience is a great guide. And that's what, the golden ratio is some weird element in nature, but it's also what's been used time and time again for hundreds and hundreds of years. It just looks right. And maybe part of that is because it's been used so often and we're used to it. But I think it appears so much in nature and in the human body, like Vitruvian Man proves that out as well. Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, the guy in the circle, in the human face, the Nautilus. It's just something that it's harmonious. Those proportions have balance and harmony.
Yeah, there's something sort of mystical about it. I mean, Rob is certainly more experienced in design than me, but one book I read, it's nice and cold. One book I read that was good, a good reference for proportion was By Hound and I. You may have heard of By Hand and I, which is a really famous book. By Hound and I is sort of like a comic strip take on it. And they talk about the different types of proportion and layout. I forget the names, like where you have like a 1-3-1 and the different what's the word I'm looking for? The different
ratios.
Yeah, like different ratios of design of and there's different names for the different ratios.
Yeah, and you can use it in the inverse if you wanted something to stand out for a specific reason. So I would say practice. I'm not sure what you use, Miles, for your design work. If it's like when I started for years and years, I worked purely with pencil on a drafting board. But if you have the ability to, start working with something like Fusion 360, a free version of SketchUp, any of those things will help you see in like real life what you're designing, and it'll happen quickly, I think.
Yeah, it's all trial and error. If you're just getting started, like just draw something, and to digest it for a little bit, take a look at it, and then make a tweak. Does it look better? Does it look worse? And then you'll get a feel for an uncalculated feel for these proportions.
Right.
Like it doesn't.
Right.
We don't even have to talk about measuring anything. Just draw it.
Right.
And then if it looks good, you can go back and find out what those ratios are.
Yeah. And sometimes, what I was going to say, I completely flew out of my head.
Shocker.
I have no idea what I was going to say.
Let me see that can. I want to look at it.
But like there have been times where, like in a large kitchen, where there are like, let's say 2 walls of cabinets that join in a corner, as the width of the doors themselves changes, whether they diminish or expand, I will adjust the size of the stiles ever so slightly. And that's what I was going to say, that sometimes a small dimension, like 1/4 of an inch, can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're going with 3.5 inch stiles, but as you get towards this corner cupboard where the door might only be, let's say, 13.5 inches or something, if you bring those stiles down to 3.25, it helps the panel appear bigger, and you don't notice it, and it looks right. It looks better.
Yeah, it looks squashed otherwise.
Right.
Because the proportion of the width of the cabinet to the style is also that's something to consider.
Right.
Like
So
you don't make a cabinet that's 48 inches wide with one door. It looks silly. As much as you may have a designer or a cabinet maker present you with a drawing with this, or a 70-inch tall door.
It'll be cheaper that way, right?
Yeah. And I guess maybe some people think it looks okay, but
yeah, we got 2 doors. They're 60 inches by 14 inches.
And we've been presented these drawings from people like
designers, not just people. These are people with credentials after their name.
Supposed credentials.
So practice, Miles, and you know what? Study the experts. We didn't invent any of this stuff. We read books, and we learned from the masters who came before us, and that's what you do. You're gonna learn less from Instagram and Pinterest, and more from checking out a few books out of the library on what the masters did, because they stood on the shoulders of the people before them too.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you draw something, shoot it over an email. You got my email.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll take a look. Got one from...
Here comes another question.
From Luke. He's Cal Builds on Instagram. He's up in Brooklyn, and he's on Clubhouse as well.
Yeah.
Not on right now, but he said, tell me about the bandsaw setup. What's the deal with the blue extrusion? So he's referencing a story we put up. Rob was resawing some white oak.
Yeah, that blue extrusion is what we use to resaw. What it is, it's a curved surface, and that's what I use as the guide. I set the thickness to the middle of the bandsaw blade to the high point in the curve of that piece, and then push it through by hand. Carefully guiding it. It's not, because there's so much drift in a bandsaw.
Yeah.
we don't have anything set up where it's like totally perfect for resawing with a wide blade where we set the fence. We got this tall fence.
Yeah, it's like a steering wheel for a bandsaw that isn't set up to like cut veneer.
Right.
Yeah, like a lot of guys that make shop veneers, they have that big tall 8-inch or 10-inch fence.
Right.
Which you better have that thing set up, otherwise it's gonna drift all over the place.
Yeah.
This lets you steer a little bit. It's a pivot point.
That's exactly it. It's a pivot point, and it takes a little bit of skill, which isn't, a lot. I would say you just have to have the time behind the wheel on that thing, because it's like driving on ice.
It's like driving a trailer.
Yeah, a little overcorrection and you're in trouble.
Yeah, like what you do now is going to happen in 10 seconds.
Right. So I picked that thing up for $20 a long time ago. It's blue, so it's from Rockler.
So Rockler sells that as like a resawing thing?
Yes. And I put it on that block of wood so that it fits on my fence.
Yep.
I don't know how they figured you'd use it. And it works great, because it's super fast, and it doesn't tie up the saw for any other, exclusive use.
Yep. I have been seeing sawblades.com, which somebody was telling me, I forget who it was, somebody in Clubhouse, that they just got a nice carbide blade from them, and it was good. They sell a bearing, what do they call it? Like a bandsaw rebuild kit, all made in the USA, and it's supposed to make it cut real nice.
Yeah, those guide bearings make a big difference.
Yeah, setting up a bandsaw is an art, and if you don't, like we don't do a lot of resawing. When we do resawing, we do a lot of it, but we don't always do it because most typically the doors are small enough where they don't need to be book matched. At least as of late. But
we had to do all that resawing for that
these steam bent chaise lounges. But yeah, Mag Switch also makes a similar thing that has bearings.
I like the look of that. Plus, it's taller.
Yep.
The thing that like the way we have it set up, we should have like a tall featherboard, but I just have a featherboard at the bottom that holds the base down, and then I just use my hand and eye to keep the top straight. And it's, it's passable. I could get away with, a 1/16 of an inch extra to plane off, but I'm not making veneers on that.
No. But yeah, with a little time, it could be could be set up. But
so that's the lowdown on the blue extrusion. It's our resaw setup. And this is Andy C.
This is like a 2 questions in one from 2 different people.
Okay. So it's Andy C makes, and B, how do you say that? Great?
Yeah.
Be Great.
Yeah, Greyt.
On YouTube. What are your thoughts on digital fabrication, and what are your general thoughts on CNC?
Well, we've talked about this at length. We don't have anything against CNC.
No.
I'd say for the most part, it's not for us. We certainly have things come up in jobs where CNC is the right way to go about it, like carvings in the jobs that we've done for churches. These are expensive jobs as it is, and you want to add in like $20,000 worth of carvings, it's going to become inaccessible. So the only way to do it is to cut the cost by 200% and go with a CNC cut carving. CNC is it's one of those things where you kind of have to be all in.
Yes,
it's a big investment. It's a big time investment, and
space.
Giant space investment. And in New Jersey, where real estate is at a premium, it's tough to justify the cost if you're not going to be using it on a regular basis. For example, this job with the Walnut that we're going to start, I could think of maybe one thing that we could do with a CNC, and that would be the doors,
right? Like
cutting the slats, cutting the grooves for the slats to sit in. But we don't have that much of a use for CNC.
No. I bet we could do it twice as fast just doing it on the table saw.
Yeah. So would it be nice to have a CNC, and would we use it if we had it? Yes. But I could say that probably about any tool.
We'd find a use for it.
Yeah.
But we know there's CNC stuff. It's not magic. It's not like you just drop a board onto the machine and out comes a piece of furniture.
Yeah, if you're cutting 1,000 cabinet sides that are all drawer over door, okay, that makes sense. It's 1,000 of the same part. We don't have we don't have 10 of the same part most times.
Yeah,
I think
that kind of stuff.
There's 32 of one part in this job, and that's a lot.
Right, and they're little because the upper
depth is
cabinets are sort of made up of these rails and stiles without a panel inside. So it's almost a web frame design, really open.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen a lot. Where on this cherry piece that's over here, there's maybe 4 parts is the most of one thing. That's the stiles on the doors, or 6 on the bottom. The bottom. There's 3 doors on the bottom, so 6 of the same part.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of repeatability in custom designed furniture. We're not building large volumes of things. If we were to build a conference table with chairs, and we had to build 20 chairs, well, then maybe we could find a use for a CNC. But
I mean, making individual parts on the CNC,
if they had a curve, if they were like a curved crest rail or a back leg that had a curve or something.
But all the straight parts that we make, I can't see there being an advantage to it. And that's kind of how we roll. If there was an advantage to it, if we had the money, the space, the time, and we'd probably need an extra guy here just to do that, to make that thing pay for itself.
Yeah.
Like that thing would have to be working on other stuff instead of just being a giant dust collector over there for $25,000 and half of our shop space and a dedicated.
That's not even for a great CNC.
Yeah, dust collection. And,
yeah, I mean, we knew a guy with a CNC.
Level.
Yeah, that's like a
big hobbyist,
a high-end hobbyist machine. We knew a guy that had a CNC, and all they did was stack parts on top of it. It never got used
for 20 years.
I had never seen it turned on. It's really a time. Hey, Jerry, we just answered your question. Big time investment.
Yeah, that thing was so old that it became obsolete.
Yep.
Like the operating system.
And you know what? Now he just gave it away for free.
Exactly.
So it's a real commitment, I'd say. If you want to get into CNC work, if it's not just a small CNC for like engraving, you plan on trying to integrate a CNC into production work,
right? It's
a big investment.
Mass production.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're not mass production in any way, shape, or form here.
Yeah. So what are our thoughts? I have nothing against it. I think it's super cool. I love all the artistic type stuff that happens on a CNC, but it's just not something that really fits into what we're doing at the moment.
We wish we knew somebody who was more of what would you say, a contact that we could reach out to when we needed something, because we're sort of
we've got Jason down in Manasquan and the guys up the road who want nothing to do with us.
Willing to help us.
Yeah.
I don't know. That says more about us or them.
Like, hey, I got all these jobs that need CNC. You want to help us out? We're a little busy. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't lose any sleep, but we were a little bit taken aback. I'm reading this next question, and I'm a little bit envious.
Yeah, we're here to our last question.
All right, and this is from Andrew, Andy YK on Instagram. In Canada, there's a very good apprentice program. What happened to the program in the USA? Will it ever come back? I didn't know we had one to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know in what official capacity there was any type of apprenticeship program. I know in Canada, like as a carpenter, like you become like a Red Seal carpenter. Like it's like all unionized, I guess.
Yeah.
Like to be a carpenter, you have to go through an apprenticeship program and become a Red Seal carpenter. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's just what I've assumed from what I've seen. But yeah, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to even find anyone to teach anything here, like as a paid employee.
The union trades, like electricians and such, have a real program, and that's something that you serve your time, you get in the local and all that stuff. But for woodworkers, like people who do anything similar to what we do, that's a tough one. They don't even have wood shop in school anymore.
Yeah, there's I know there's like millwork divisions of the carpenters unions, but it's not really, or even it's not even the same thing at all. They're
doing a lot of commercial work.
Yeah, like building the stores at the mall kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and restaurants. It's not as nuanced as this.
No, most of that, because I did estimating for commercial GC, and the millwork trades are basically plastic laminate for offices. That's where all the real work in New York is. And that's something that they estimate that by the linear foot. There, as you said, I'll use your word, there's no nuance to that stuff. It's just, what color do you want? So, I mean, the truth is, I wouldn't have had my act together at a young age to join the apprenticeship program, because I wouldn't have known what I wanted to do. But at my age now, 58, going on 59, I think about how much fun that would have been if I would have done that. How further along I would have been at an earlier age.
Yeah, I mean, we had, I guess right before I got into middle school, they had a shop class. And then by the time I got there, it was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's due to the fact that the basic skills in math and English just kept falling. So some brainiac in the upstate programs where they developed the curriculum said it must be because we're giving all these kids art and shop and home ec. Let's take those classes out and we'll just double down on all of the math and science and English. That'll make them smarter. Obviously, we know that didn't work out, but they never brought those programs back. Once, I know in New York, because I had hoped to teach some of those types of classes, once those teachers retired, they never replaced them, and then they would just shut that program down in that particular school. And so one by one, all those courses were eliminated until today. There's nothing.
Yeah, so we talked about this on Clubhouse the other day in the shop room, I believe. Who was I talking to? Kyle, I think. And I was saying there has to still be some around here because O'Shea sells to schools, and on our truck a lot of times they're going to schools to deliver material. I don't know what schools they are or what sort of size the shop class is, but they are, selling local to us at least, or in New Jersey, to high schools. I
do know that Middletown has like a stagecraft section of the theater department. That's like cobbled together BS, though. It is. Yeah. Like Christopher, he used to come tell me stories, laughing about how they didn't know which end of the hammer to hold.
And I've talked to some people that build sets, and it's just cobbled together, and they throw it out like it's just made. Yeah, it's disposable. It'll teach you some basic hand tools, not hand tool, but whatever, some basic hand-eye coordination kind of woodworking skill, but not as focused on woodwork as
it's really a shame, because if you think about all the stuff that we do here in the shop that we probably don't even think about or take for granted, all of the thinking that takes place on the job, simple math, advanced math with geometry and trigonometry. My wife was she's a retired math teacher, and I can't count the number of times I consulted her and her whole math department on questions that, had to do with design and scaling certain designs and shapes. And I would stump, a whole high school math department. And then there's the problem solving, the engineering, strength, durability. These are things we do on a daily basis that would help almost any career path. Just the thinking and the problem solving.
Yeah, it translates to so many different things.
Thinking for yourself, independent work. This is what they claim they want in everybody on the job, right?
Yeah, how to overcome like the feeling of defeat and just put your head down and finish the job.
That's right. Not that we experience the feeling of defeat.
Never. I mean, that's
not every day.
It's a tough one to learn. It's hard to. I'm guilty of it to get past that fuck up and just get the job done.
That's right.
Because it.
You have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
That's why we have the wall of shame.
Yeah. Even just, when things aren't going right.
Yeah.
To just work through it. And, yesterday we blew the belt on the wide, I always say wide belt sander, the drum sander,
yeah.
the conveyor belt, the feed belt that the pieces actually sit on. It's a 38-inch wide belt, and we blew it up. It's a 28-inch wide belt.
Yeah, a large splinter of oak ripped a long slit in it almost completely across the whole thing.
Yeah, and you said, "What time is it?" I said, "I think it's time to hang up our hat." But you know what? Then we cut the belt off. We changed the paper. We ran the pieces through. And we put them in the water. And we got them in there soaking. So it's like.
Yeah,
we would have been no better off just going home.
No, we put in another hour's work.
Yeah,
and we were better off because we came in this morning. We didn't have to think about that at all.
Yeah,
all that work was done.
Yep,
and
we had some other problem to think about.
Well, this is life in the small business because we're every position here. You and I, Jeff. Yeah. We do everything. We're maitre d' to dishwasher.
Yeah. And the guy cleaning the bathroom.
That's right. But we will call in Roto-Rooter.
Yeah.
Something bad happens there. We don't do all of it.
That's right.
We draw the line somewhere. Oh, man. Well, Canada seems to have their act together when it comes to the trades and a couple other things when they... when you compare them to us.
Yeah.
So very good. I hope you took advantage of that program, Andrew. Mm-hmm. And if you did, let us know what it was like and tell us about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll retire. I'd retire to Canada, but it's too cold up there for me.
Yeah, it's getting too cold here.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting to the end of our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, we're at the end of the questions. So, what did you think of the beers?
Man, well, that first beer, the
Mo Pils,
the Pilsner, that thing went down so easy. It hit the spot because I was thirsty, and it was such a familiar kind of taste. That classic American beer. But as I alluded to, it was like a good version of it.
Yeah. That light, crisp, clean kind of taste.
Yeah, that's the kind of beer, like if you want to try and pick a beer for 12 different people to like.
Right.
Nobody
this is like even the people that say they don't like craft beer, they could drink it and they'll grumble a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Yeah, easy. And this other one, man, this is good too. It's really bright, crisp.
This is a little more my speed. the Sun-Kissed Citra. This New England style IPA is a silky citrus bomb. We used a heavy dose of Citra hops and complemented it with soft piney touch of Centennial to create a sun-kissed delight.
I can taste the pine.
Yeah, and I see Sean's down there. So Sean is linking us up with his buddy in Arizona.
Oh,
Sean's in
yeah.
Arizona as well. His buddy owns a brewery, Kitsune Brewing, and going to send us out a couple beers in the next couple weeks.
That's cool. I got a little link to Arizona.
Yeah.
Went to Arizona State for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't graduate. Spent way too much time doing stuff other than going to Arizona State.
I have a similar story.
Yes, that's right. The big difference is that when I went to Arizona State, it cost me like $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
And not only that, the government paid for it because they said, son, you're broke. We're going to give you money to go to school.
Yeah, it must be nice.
I know. I mean, I feel terrible telling Jeff these things because that world doesn't exist for him.
No.
It's for people my age. I think a lot of us forget how good we really had it, especially when you compare it to today's time. And now we all had our hardships and our, trials, but compared to today, there's so many things that were taken for granted then, like renting an apartment. Mm-hmm. You didn't need, you just needed a job. I worked at 7-Eleven when I was a teenager and I had an apartment.
Yeah.
So these things are done now. You can't find them.
Those CEOs got to start trickling down some of that money.
Yeah, what happened to that? It's trickling. It's trickling.
It's a slow trickle.
I hope you live to see that trickle.
I won't bet on it.
No, me either. That could be another rant in Patreon because although I did get a little taste of the good times growing up through the 70s and such, I'm more of a Rage Against the Machine kind of guy.
The washing machine.
Yeah, the washing machine backed up today. It's always something, isn't it?
I guess before we say our goodbyes and sign off here, we'll open up Clubhouse. If anybody has anything to say, any comments, questions, feel free to raise your hand.
Pop in, come on, Clubhouse.
Yeah. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of you down there. Yeah, there we go. Who's this? Sean.
You're live, Sean.
Hey.
Sean, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Do I have to do the whole thing that I did last
Oh,
week?
yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
See, I put it in the description, so you know what? Clubhouse wants to come after us. They got nothing we could take. So
That's right.
we got nothing they could take.
Good luck. My dirty 1620s.
Nice. So when you guys were talking earlier about like design and stuff, I kind of had a thought. I know you said kind of look at some books and things like that nature. I was wondering if you guys had any book recommendations that potentially you had that you go to for inspiration.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, there's a lot of stuff published on Stickley, and there's like a craftsman's guide and things like that. I could get you some exact titles, but if you just did a book search, Gustav Stickley or Stickley Brothers, even if the style of furniture isn't what you want to build, the proportions are so right on that you'll learn something from that.
Yeah. The cool thing about Stickley, too, is it really lacks any ornamentation. So you can take the design and tweak it to make it something completely different. You take the proportions and the general idea, and you can really make it your own by interpreting it in a mid-century modern style or whatever.
Yeah, you read a great book recently, didn't you? The the Renegade.
Oh, Anarchist Design Book. Yeah, I'd say that's a good one, Sean. Anarchist Design Book by Chris Schwartz from Lost Art Press. So that book is on vernacular furniture, which is like basically think of like a dude in a farmhouse making a stool. It's all very purpose built, sort of homemade furniture, and it gets into the nitty gritty of the design and doesn't get too fluffy. If you understand what I'm saying, it's a great book. Not what I expected it to be, but really good. A lot of stick furniture in there, and it was good. And it's a nice thick book, so a lot of info in there.
Cool, man. And so does that book have? Is that like a lot? Is there a lot? I'm assuming pictures and things like that to kind of go off of on there.
Yeah, there's got to be like a dozen or a dozen and a half different projects in there, and he actually goes through and tells you how to build them. There's cut lists and stuff. So, Rob just pulled out some books.
Yeah, I just pulled 3 books off the shelf with stickly drawings in them. One's called Making Authentic Craftsman Furniture, and it's got 62 projects inside, and it's including articles from The Craftsman is the name of the book that Gustav Stickley wrote and published. There's another one called The Furniture of Gustav Stickley.
Yeah, I read that one recently.
I'll hold these up just in case anybody's watching. And these are like big paperbacks, so they're inexpensive books as well. And then another one, Shop Drawings for Craftsman Furniture. Again, all based on Stickley's designs.
I think they call those like trade paperbacks.
Yeah.
It's like a 9x12 kind of deal.
And if you want to see an example of somebody who's taken like Stickley's and the Shaker ideal to market, look up Thomas Moser. Mm-hmm. He's made a very successful business just basically interpreting Stickley's furniture.
Yeah. He has a book called I think it's just called How to Build Shaker Furniture. Mm-hmm. And I didn't finish it. I got like 3/4 of the way through before I had to return it, but that was a good book.
Yeah, they have like a Mission style line, Shaker, a Craftsman line, and
the stick chairs and stools that they've been building at Moser. Mm-hmm. Man, I got a real hard on for those things.
They do really nice work, and it's reasonably priced.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a good place to work too, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So. I would love to have a shop like that one day where we can gainfully employ
that's right.
2 dozen or 3 dozen people, and build.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah. You know who else I like is Frank Lloyd Wright.
AZ native right there.
Yeah, that's right. He's awesome, and because a lot of his stuff failed. He pushed the boundary so far that things didn't always work. His buildings are famous for having leaky roofs and contractors having to go back, a decade later and fix the foundation or something. But his ideas about personalization and proportion and scale, to me, they're the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I follow like an account on Instagram that literally just shares his stuff daily. It just looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe not super functional most of the time, but just the look of his stuff is just incredible.
That's what I mean about Frank. He was a real maverick.
Yeah, dreamer.
Yeah, that's what makes things great.
Well, thanks, Sean. We got some time here. We're closing in on the 1.5 hour mark, but we got some time if anybody else wants to come up.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. How come everybody got shy all of a sudden?
Any takers? Brendan, how about you? I'm going to call you out. Keystone Carpenter.
Yeah.
I was in the room last night with you and Matt talking about. I wanted to jump in a couple times, but I was a little hesitant. The conversation was going. I didn't want to interject, but there was a discussion about when designers should enter the job.
I had to bite my tongue there for a hard second.
What's up, Brendan?
I don't know really much about woodworking, but I'm still on that repair. If you follow me on Instagram, if not, I'm doing a repair right now. So I have the quiet time to kind of listen in something like this. Normally I wouldn't, but very intrigued just kind of hearing you guys talk about, wood shop and things like that. So what was your question there before about last night, Jeff?
So last night, the question arose from that woman, Kate. When should a designer enter the job? And I know I have an opinion. I'm sure Rob has one.
Strong one.
Yeah. I know Rob's going to say probably not at all. But so we've had experiences where a designer comes into the job late in the game, and it really throws a wrench in the gears because, we as furniture and cabinetry designers, we have our own vision. And, so then someone else comes in with their own vision and sort of muddies the waters. So I think if a designer is going to be involved, it needs to be from the very beginning. There needs to be, a meeting between client, designer, and tradesman, whether that's a remodeler like yourself or a, woodworker or mill worker. That way, a cohesive design can be created, and there's not this sort of miscommunication that happens down the road.
Yeah. For me, I'll agree with that aspect of it, where the timing should be from the onset. But I think the most important thing is delineating the responsibilities. In my experience, and it's not vast, I'll say, but I've been around the block a couple of times. Designers are oftentimes given much more responsibility than their ability and acumen deserves. Mm-hmm. And as Jeff stated, we're a design build shop, and we bring a lot to the table. We're not just a couple of guys that are building boxes. We put a lot of effort into the overall design and function and form of everything we build, and we consult with the client just as much as any designer would. And I think we may even have the client's best interest at heart, more so than almost anyone else on the job.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to coexist with a designer that feels like we're an inferior,
or you get into this competition,
right?
Where
right.
it's designer and client versus woodworker,
right.
or designer versus woodworker,
yeah.
Where really, the goal is to just provide the client with the best possible product, and everybody needs to put their ego aside, and whoever has the best idea really should be the...
Exactly. And now we've struck up a beautiful relationship with a design firm.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because the exchange of information and ideas just flows freely back and forth. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody saying, well, this is my idea, this is your idea, let's go with this one instead of that one. It's problem solving in the truest sense.
Yeah, we're able to manifest their ideas into real tangible things, because they have as a designer, they have an overarching idea of what the project needs to be, but they're not equipped to create the specifics.
Right.
And I'm not saying that all designers are this way. I'm sure there are ones out there who can, create a real shop drawing and a real finished piece of furniture, who aren't actual furniture makers. But so they're able to just feed us an idea, and we can take it and make it into something that's real.
Right.
Create a real design, not something that's just a reference or inspiration photo. We take the constraints of the home and the function of the piece, and we turn it into something that's real.
Yeah. So they've really come to appreciate what we do, and we appreciate what they do in the same sense. And in fact, they'll come back to us and say, yeah, this is pretty good, but it's it's not great.
Yeah.
Can you twist it a little bit sideways here and take this out?
We're
there?
looking for more of this look. And, it needs to be a harmonious relationship.
Right. And that's the point that we've come to with most designers. It becomes a little bit. I try not to act it, but I could probably be a little resentful of their presence, and I feel like they resent our presence if we try to say we're more than just cabinet builders.
Right.
Fortunately, with my experience with designers has been pretty good, and I think the reason being is if they've been more, I guess, decorators are starting out, that they have a tendency to defer certain things to the contractor, and while I do like that, and this has been relationships that have been formed kind of prior to working together, so it's kind of like, hey, we're going into this already with an approach that's we're on the same side here, but as I've progressed in my business, I've found that I'm not a designer and I'm not someone who's drawing or scaling or anything, and I do have that knack, or I guess that kind of that skill set, but at the same time I feel like I'm also spending a lot of time that I haven't allocated or budgeted or charged for in terms of management that should be on the designer, like molding scales or drawings of to scale and things like that. And I think that just comes with time and who I partner up with. But I find myself a lot of time in the field, like making these decisions, and I do enjoy it, finding time where it just is taking away from the bottom line.
Yeah, we all want to be paid for our time on the job, our years of experience, and sort of the intangible things too that we're bringing to the table, that and care what molding is going to look appropriate. In a fair world, you're going to be compensated for bringing that to the job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have you ever considered, integrating some type of design service into your business where, you act as the designer and, you have plenty of experience, so how to compose a nice looking bathroom?
I've thought about it. I don't have the skill set to use even, some of the most basic setups or, programs, like drawing a simple space in SketchUp or, Chief or, 2020. So, I feel like with a little bit of time spent learning those programs, I could capture, simple designs like that and pocket some of that money where, right now I'm just kind of passing that along to the designer.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a good investment, I would say.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I'm sure you run into jobs where there is no designer. And so between yourself and the homeowner, you're both sort of playing designer, and there's no reason you shouldn't be compensated for actually, doing that design work, because, you've done enough work where to pair, this tile with this Schluter or
Exactly.
Whatever combination of things within a home. So I think you'd be surprised how well equipped you probably really are compared to a lot of these interior designers or decorators.
Yeah, a lot of designers start out, they move from sort of the hobbyist, arranging rooms for friends to putting a sign out front, and they're assembling ideas from pictures online. And like people in our boat, we're sort of developing ideas more from scratch.
Yeah, it's some of the coolest things I feel like I've done have really just been on the fly, like letting the homeowner just kind of let me run with my ideas. Now, is that the most efficient and profitable? No, but I feel like the creativity can be there, and you can really get into your zone and be in in your element. But with the right tools in place, and some learning about some of these software programs, I feel like that can easily be captured and capitalized on.
Yeah, you'd see a remarkable difference in how that sort of presentation changes your ability to land a job and sort of not control, but sort of navigate a job from start to finish. With the client knowing what to expect and your ability to spell it out so there are no surprises and things like that.
For sure. I wouldn't want to necessarily get into, a whole house design or a whole floor, maybe multiple projects, at least right away, but at least capturing some of those simpler projects, that maybe doesn't necessarily, warrant a designer from the start.
Yeah. We could throw this out there, if anybody's got things, they could always throw them our way. We have the ability to do it. And we would, love to team up with anybody out there that needs some design help. If, we could do something like that.
What do you guys use when you design your pieces?
We use a combination of SketchUp and Fusion 360.
Yeah, they're both 3D drawing programs from the computer, and gives us the ability to email things back and forth to clients. That's really nice, and designers.
Yeah.
And the true to scale drawings really show what'll work. We would sometimes get sketches, and somebody would be asking for 4 rows of shelves and this and that, and you look at it and it's like, well, the ceiling will have to be 18 feet high for this to actually work. When you do it in real scale, you can only fit 2 rows of shelves. So it's a handy tool in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and we're able to do most of our prefabrication work remotely. So more often than not, like, money has already changed hands before we ever see a job site.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought maybe we had a little insight on the conversation last night. I had to leave a little earlier than I had hoped. My wife was giving me the look.
What look is that?
Well, I was on Clubhouse and sitting on the couch listening, and she's like, "Give me a side eye."
Giving me the side eye. It can be addictive, even though it's like, how can the audio app be time consuming? You could just hop in a room and just 2 hours goes by and it's like, where'd it go?
Yeah, I got to stay off during the workday because I just get engrossed in the conversations.
Jeff, you got to go into the rooms where nobody knows who you are during the workday. That's what I camp out in these rooms where I can just listen and nobody's going to call me to do anything.
The NFT rooms.
Yeah, buddy. I actually just bought a domain name on some thoughts about that. So that's for another time.
Oh, yeah. I have to pick your brain because I have an interest to learn, but I don't know anything yet. But that's a conversation for another day.
For sure.
You should check out the rap battle groups. I popped in there about midnight last night. Interesting.
That sounds incredibly entertaining.
Rap battle? Yeah.
Yeah, Matt and I were in the room, peanut butter versus Nutella. Is that what it was?
Yep, absolutely. It was just some random thing. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. There was people from all over the world that were all discussing it. It was great. People talking about toast and all this stuff. I was dying.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I grew up eating Nutella back when only Italians knew about it. And we'd get it for breakfast on toast, and every now and again my mother would put like a sliced banana on there.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
All right, so Rob, we know where you fall on that side of the equation. What about you? Jeff, what do you say?
That's a tough one. Like, if I had to pick one to, like...
Forever. Yeah, forever choice.
Forever.
You can only have access to one forever.
I think I would go with Nutella because I actually prefer almond butter, like, for just, like a sandwich or something like that.
All right, fair enough. I have to say, if I didn't have Teddy's crunchy peanut butter in my life, I don't know if I would be
Sean, Brendan, you guys want to weigh in? You're already up here.
60% of my fat intake on a daily basis.
Oh, I love it.
It's just like
I have to say,
peanut butter.
I'm just completely grossed out by the whole conversation.
Oh, boo.
If I had to make the choice, I would just say Nutella. Probably Nutella. I'd go with Nutella.
All right, Brendan, last one to weigh in. You got the rest of your life ahead of you with 2 jars. You got to get rid of one. What do you got?
Peanut butter for sure.
Yes, all right. We split the screen.
Split the room.
I didn't get washed out on this one. Thank you.
No, we didn't split. That's 3 against 2.
Oh, you're right. I forgot. You got 2 guys in one bubble there. That's not fair.
Yeah, I could crush a jar of Nutella with a spoon right now. I think I get gassed on the peanut butter.
Yeah.
But I do love both.
I don't know. I mean, it would be close. I love Nutella, but it would be real close for me if I had to only have one for the rest of my life because I love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
Only not the grape jelly. I'm a big like apricot peach jam kind of guy.
That's good. I like strawberry or raspberry on
So
PB&J.
I almost had it today for lunch. I was debating whether or not I'd have it. So
Yeah. I just go. It's a little bit more nutritious too. So like,
Absolutely.
If you're out in the wild somewhere, you'd survive longer on a jar of peanut butter, in my opinion.
You might burn out on the chocolate.
That's also my point too. I can do a little bit of sweets. I'll have a little bit of ice cream now and again, but I'm not. I don't know. I don't have a big sweet tooth, so I guess that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat sugar, so I really can't eat the Nutella. But,
you dream about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Are you truly zero? Like non-0 grams for a whole day?
Yeah. Every now
More
and then,
than a day.
every now and then I fall off the wagon, and then I deeply regret it. Last time I went off the wagon a couple weeks ago, and it took me about a week to feel right again.
Because what? It's keto, correct? Isn't that what that is? No sugar is like you're putting your body into keto, or am I confusing diets?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I'm not zero, but I try to keep it as low as possible because I definitely, and honestly, it's funny you say that because I had a sip of I bought a soda the other day. I was somewhere and I was freaking thirsty, and I just bought a soda randomly, didn't really look at it, and I started drinking it, and it was like, one of those ones with like 60 grams of sugar in one little bottle. In like 10 minutes, I had like taken a couple swigs because I was thirsty. Like 10 minutes later, I'm like, I feel freaking weird, man. Like this is like, I don't know. Like I just didn't feel right. And if you're a truly zero, I could totally see how it would definitely throw your kind of balance off for a little bit of time.
Yeah. Like only when you
try
stop.
to stay away from sugar in between full-size bags of M&Ms.
I was gonna say only like when you stop eating sugar do you realize how much it really affects, everything, your state of mind and your body. And I mean, I get super irritable, but I definitely, I feel a lot better. I've been eating no or occasionally very little sugar for, almost 4 years now. So
I make up
sure
for it. Don't worry.
I don't know if you were ever larger or not, but I'm sure you've definitely assumed probably a slighter figure just because of that.
Oh yeah. I'm still fat and I don't eat any sugar.
I think that genuinely deserves congratulations.
Yeah.
I also have a 4 and a 5-year-old in the house, so sugar is everywhere. But
yeah, I'll tell you what. Every Halloween I relapse because I just can't resist the Reese's peanut butter cup.
Oh,
that's my thing right there. That's my weakness, and my wife knows it. Like I could stay away from everything, but if she buys Reese's peanut butter cups, I am crushing them, like all of them.
Yeah, here's the thing too. It's like it's like being a drug addict because like if I had one bite of a Reese's, it's all over. Then it's like I could just have one more, and then you spiral out of control because that sugar gets into your
It's
brain.
the alcoholic having the one drink.
Yeah. There's no such thing as one Reese's peanut butter cup or one piece of cake or one cookie. It's a
almost
drug.
having like one Thin Mint of a Girl Scout cookie. Like, yeah.
No, that's a whole box serving.
There's no such thing.
The sleeve. It's a sleeve.
Yep. Serving is 2 Fig Newtons? I eat them by the sleeve. Well, on that note, we'll bring it to a close here this week. I want to give a shout out to our gold tier patrons. We got David Murphy, Manny Sirianni, Dustin Fair, who's down there in the clubhouse room, Adam Pothast, David Shoemaker. Sorry, David.
That's usually the mistake I would make.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys. If you don't know, the podcast is on YouTube as well, so you can check out the video version there. We're here every Wednesday on Clubhouse now as well. If you want your beer glass, head over to the website. You can get it. And we'll go ahead and do our little Patreon after show here right after this, where we sit down for, anywhere between a half hour and an hour and say some stuff that we're not allowed to say on the air normally.
That's right.
We might
got
talk
gripes.
about ancient aliens or something like that, or conspiracy theories,
Or
and
somebody who did us wrong.
yeah, we're gonna tell you about stuff that we don't tell the general public. But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thanks everybody out there on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Tune in next week. We'll see you for episode 28.
Love the Clubhouse.
Later, guys.
Ciao. Be well.